everyone. Izabella Ritz and Amazon Made Simple podcast. Today, we will be talking about the very painful topic, PPC, conversion increasing, AI, and how you're supposed to deal with all of this being a human being. I have a guest who is 7 and I believe 8-figure Amazon seller that is selling on Amazon using private label format, also using a data-driven approach, also using reverse engineering as I am. And he's on Amazon since, I believe, 2012, right? Am I?
Yep.
2012. So meet Kusha Karvandi. Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. So welcome to the podcast and thank you for being here today. First question.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. First question, why 12 years ago you decided that Amazon is a good fit for you and why did you decide to launch it?
Yeah, I mean, it started out of a passion for the area I was in. At the time, I was managing a gym and I was also training clients. So I was, deep into the health and wellness and personal training space for probably 5 to 10 years before that. And so I had come across some research that was showing this topic called blood flow restriction training at the time. And it really caught my eye because, it seemed very counterintuitive to what you would think you'd want to do during exercise. So that led me down some rabbit holes to research, products for it. And what I found is that there wasn't, besides, expensive medical devices, there wasn't any kind of practical product on the market at the time for that niche. And I knew that this was going to be an emerging niche because of, how powerful this modality of training was. And so my wife and I, we had no experience with e-commerce at the time. And so it was my wife who really did the research and found that Amazon FBA would be a good place for us to potentially start because it was easy to get a product up and running and have Amazon do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of the traffic, in terms of the customer service and the fulfillment. So we started there and we launched our own. It was actually a custom kind of product that we were sourcing in the US. And we launched that on Amazon. And to our surprise, we were selling like, a few dozen units a month, which at the time was awesome because it was just extra money on the side. And then that obviously started to grow month over month, just kept exponentially growing. And, over time, we basically made that a full-time business, left my job and focused on e-commerce full-time after that. And, this is over probably 12 years ago now, 10, 12 years ago. And we eventually over time started getting into more custom manufacturing and obviously sourcing from China to bring the cost down and that sort of thing. And eventually we ended up selling that brand in 2020 to Thrasio. So that was, that was actually our second exit technically. But yeah, it ended up being a second exit technically, but that was kind of my first first company. That was my baby at the time.
That sounds great. Quick 2 questions here. So you can relate Alex Hormozy, which has also went from gym management to the real life experience of the business. And the second part, when you launched your first product, did you act very intuitively or you've been already aiming into like, listen, I want you to do some type of the marketing. I will be doing PPC. And I remember I launched Amazon in 2015. We didn't have PPC. So what was your approach back in 12 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, PPC was not a big part of our strategy in the beginning because I just didn't really know it or understand it. And, we were just kind of learning things as we went along and every year getting a little bit smarter. But in the beginning, it was really just organic. I think I was just kind of lucky in the beginning, focusing on niches that I knew. It's kind of like the whole, Wayne Gretzky analogy of going to where the puck is going to be rather than where it is. And that's kind of what we were doing. And I felt like it was working for me to follow my intuition because I knew the niche better than probably anyone else in that space at the time. Because a lot of times what happens in e-commerce and in Amazon is a lot of sellers go into a category that they don't necessarily know anything about, especially with the Chinese sellers. They go into a category, they don't know anything about it. They don't really understand the consumer at the level of depth as somebody like myself who was in it. I was living in it, breathing it. That was health and fitness and exercise and weight training and all that. That was my life at the time. And so I knew it better than most people in that category could. So that gave me, I think, a huge competitive advantage to be able to launch products and modify the products intuitively, knowing what the customer would likely want. Probably wasn't the
I
most
love it.
optimal way to do it, but it definitely worked at the time.
I love it. It works today, but to do the reverse engineering, it works today. So after you exited to Trashio, and after you exited, you said 3 brands. Am I correct?
Yep.
So are you still selling on Amazon? Did you launch the new product, or you just moved on and you started doing something else?
No, I still love Amazon. Obviously, it's gotten more and more challenging. It has its ups and downs, and it's gotten obviously more competitive over the years. But yeah, before I sold that BFR bands brand, actually rewinding a couple years before that, I had seen an opportunity in the massage gun space before massage guns like Theragun had become
I
really
sold them.
popular.
I also exited the brand
Yeah,
having this product on the
yeah.
list.
It was a
Okay.
huge category. I mean, still is a
Yeah.
huge, huge opportunity category, but now there's thousands and thousands of products. Back then, there was like a handful of products, and it was just fairly new. And I just thought it was very intriguing, and no one was really in that space at the time. So I launched kind of a separate brand, separate product at the time, separate from our core business, and built that up to over 8 figures within 12 months, and then within 18 months we sold that brand. So that was actually my first exit, and that was in 2019, before the second one. So that was a cool opportunity, and that was 100% on Amazon.
And did you expand? You said this one is 100% Amazon. So did you expand your future brands to D2C websites or any other platforms?
Yeah, so the second exit we had, that was half Shopify, and we may have had some other stuff too, like Walmart, eBay, that sort of thing, but it was primarily Shopify and Amazon, half and half there, I would say. And then after I sold that brand, we basically rolled up a portfolio of new brands. Some of them I had existing that I had kept from the prior exit that was excluded from that sale, and some were just new brands that I just created and developed. None were acquired, so these are all things that I just at the time had just
Wow.
created. We didn't acquire any brands at that time. And then I rolled up that portfolio, sold it about a year and a half later, 2021. And then since 2021, I've started a new business, new series of brands. And basically, these are all startups from the ground up, and built this to be multiple 7-figure business now. And at some point we'll build it up and exit this portfolio as well.
That sounds awesome. So, what is the biggest challenge for you today? Because to my understanding, you learn all this Amazon algorithm from inside. You learn how everything works, how to market Amazon products when you launched it, when you scale it, when you grow it. And of course, there is a big part when you're exiting your brand, your PPC is supposed to perform on a very specific way for the next like 3-4 months. So you have to make sure everything is working out well and you have enough of inventory so it's ready for the new owner. And by learning all this process A to Z, how did you come up with the new idea for the new business you are doing these days? And what is this business about?
Yeah, so basically it's I always stay in health and wellness because that's my area of expertise, that's my niche. And basically we're always selling strength and recovery type products, and that's really been our core focus for the last 12 years. And so, I don't have any specific timeline of when we want to exit right now. It's kind of more of a lifestyle business, and we're enjoying it. But we will, at some point, probably. Yeah, I do like the obviously the the process of exiting and what comes along with it. So at some point we probably will. But obviously this is also an interesting economy and things that are happening too. So we're kind of just watching how things are playing out. Interest rates are obviously changing, so timing, when the things are timed right, then we'll probably go down that road. But like my thing is always staying in my circle of competence. Mentor of mine calls it this your success signature, staying in that space that you know better than anyone else, because that gives you a much better advantage.
Who's your
Like
mentor?
I would. What's that?
You said your mentor's saying something?
Yeah, there's a woman. I
Yes, who's
actually
your
was when I
mentor?
was a trainer. Yeah, there's a woman I used to train when I was a trainer. Her name is Jennifer McLean, and she has a big e-commerce business in the. I'm not sure if she's still doing it now. I haven't spoken to her in a while, but yeah, she would run basically this e-commerce business that was a coaching business, and I remember her talking about your success signature and that sort of thing, and that always kind of stuck with me because that was something that I felt was part of our success over the years, was always staying in that area that we knew best, rather than like if I went into like pet products or office products. That's not really areas I know that well. It's not to say that I couldn't learn, but I wouldn't, there'd be a learning curve and I wouldn't have a distinct advantage there. So I feel like it is important over a long period of time to stay on one track. And, over 10, 20 years, it's hard not to become wealthy if you stay on one track and master that and become an expert at that one thing.
So becoming an expert in Amazon space and becoming an expert in Amazon algorithm, you came up with an idea of building AI that is managing PPC campaigns. Am I correct?
Yep, that's right.
So how did you define what is the main pain point when it comes to PPC management? And given that today is the era of AI, a lot of people are still scared of AI, but at the same time, the niche you choose for yourself is extremely competitive. So just by going to the Prosper floor, every other booth is about PPC management, PPC software, PPC management. We're doing PPC, like every single, I think if I will go outside, I will meet at least 5 people that are doing PPC. So it's extremely competitive. Sure. It's extremely hard. And given your experience to differentiate things and to do the reverse engineering, what kind of reverse engineering did you do by building the software you are having right now?
Well, I own an agency as well. So over the last, 5-6 years, we've been helping many clients as well as our own accounts with PPC. And so I wanted to take everything that was in my head, all my knowledge around what I had learned and all the rule sets and strategies I was deploying, and put it into an automated software that could get similar results. Maybe not as good as obviously a human that was focused on it 24/7, but having similar types of return on ad spend, but at a lower cost. And then the other aspect was, this really kind of emerged out of the pain point of Amazon just getting so much more expensive. I just feel like over time you get gouged between competitors, making it kind of a race to the bottom in price. So your margins come down a little bit. Amazon launching all kinds of new fees, like now there's fees if your inventory is not in stock for long enough. If you have too little inventory, they're going to charge you fees, as well as too much inventory. So, and then on top of that, of course, PPC gets more expensive every single year. So, just seeing all these costs rising, I thought, what if I could have a software that could make it, cheaper for people over time, where, your PPC costs would go down as your organic rankings went up. Because obviously in some cases you might want to be visible for both PPC ads, sponsored ads, as well as organic, maybe for the brand exposure. But in many cases, it may not make sense to, redundantly spend money paying Amazon for PPC placements where you're already organically visible, because then that becomes kind of a redundancy where you're kind of paying twice. So that was really kind of the motivation behind it.
So motivation is great. And now, what was the course of action, and how long did it take you to build this software, and how are you marketing your software right now to the audience? And I'm asking all this because most of the listeners, they should understand and they want to understand how to market the product. And generally speaking, you guys, when you're marketing your product on Amazon, your marketing services, the approach is always similar. You have to hit the pain point, and you have to find your target audience. The moment the pain point meet your target audience, they comes together, the deal is happening. So how did you build this approach? And again, how long did it take you, and how does it work for you now?
Yeah, so I have a team of developers that, I basically told them what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's the, essentially the algorithm of how I want it to work and what it needs to do. And it took almost couple years to really build this thing out, and it's still in the early stages. I mean, we launched not that long ago, and really just kind of it's been grassroots marketing. I'm not advertising it really anywhere. These types of podcasts are really the only places that I've really been mentioning it. So we're just kind of building this slowly, and the beauty is what I'm trying to do is really reiterate quickly new features. So based on the user feedback and ideas we get from the users, I want to take that information, launch new features quickly that would be really valuable to the customer.
Hello everyone, Izabella Ritz and Amazon Made Simple. I want to make sure you're getting the biggest value as possible from my podcast and from every single video I put out there. Please make sure to subscribe to my newsletter that I am posting the link below this video, and you'll be always up to date with the product research, validation, and development. It's completely free, promotion free, pure value forever and ever. So to build the software, you're using I believe any other business to feed the software venture. It's a bootstrap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm personally financing it myself.
That's awesome. I love it. I love to finance myself, the businesses I'm launching, because then at the end of the day, when you exit, all revenue is yours.
Yep,
so
exactly.
When, again, the question is the reverse engineering there. So when you, like you said, you're trying to implement every single feature people are asking for. So what is the main pain point that you are closing in the software, and what's the difference between your software and thousands of others?
Yeah, I'd say the main difference that I hadn't seen before, that I still haven't seen yet, is none of the other softwares out there take into account the position of your ASIN in search results. So when it comes to the bid adjustments and the profitability of your ad campaigns and your ACoS and or ROAS, they weren't taking into account your position. And I found that data point, that information, extremely valuable, because as you rank higher, you may want to adjust your bids and maybe even your budget to reflect that, so that you're not spending more than you need to. And again, like I said, PPC costs continue to go up and they're getting more expensive. So it's hugely advantageous to sellers if they can squeeze out more margin by reducing those clicks at the right time for the right keywords.
What is the definition here? You're not spending more as you need to, and I will a little bit elaborate on this. So for example, I'm launching white mug. So I'm launching white mug. It's a super broad keyword. We can have thousands and thousands of related keywords to this one with the purpose and with the problem, and based on the categories and etc. So if I can scale the product, will your AI define or tell me, like, listen, we squeezed the maximum out of the keywords you're targeting right now, and here is the time when it's when you should target the categories, and this is the approach we should take, or you still have to do it manually. And this is where I will understand, like, okay, so I'm done here. Now it's kind of stabilized and it's on point and under control. And now I have the opportunity to scale using different opportunities inside of the Amazon Seller Central, which is, to my understanding, API to your software. Is it too complicated?
Yeah, no, I mean, essentially the system will take care of it. It's all automated. So you don't really have to do anything. The system does have, like in the dashboard, it does have features that you can get more granular. If somebody's like, you know what, I want to be a lot more hands-on, if they're more advanced as an Amazon seller and they want to get in and do some more day parting or seasonality or those types of features, all of that's in there. They could even specify certain competitors. They can specify specific keywords that they want to target, and maybe they want to target certain keywords at a more aggressively, that sort of thing. They have more features in there that will allow them to get more granular. But this software is really designed for beginner and intermediate sellers who just want something that they can click a few clicks, get their SKUs up and running and advertising very, very quickly, and really, have the system and the AI manage it as if it's a person without having to pay the exorbitant cost of having someone manage it physically.
Does your AI has any type of AI assistance where I have a question, like what is going on in my account and why this adjustment happened, and now I can ask and I will get the answer immediately?
Not yet. That's something that we will be down the line, and we will have a feature in there where you can actually communicate with the AI as if it's a person and have it make adjustments or answer questions like that. So that will happen. But right now, it's not an interactive feature yet. It's really more in the background where it's running the campaign and making the adjustments.
Don't take it personally. Just I'm so into AI these days, and when I'm looking at the new software and it says that it's AI, I'm already immediately implementing that AI is supposed to be there all over the place. So,
Sure.
what is the biggest I would say difficulty that is happening when AI is running campaign and when people are running the campaign? What's the biggest difference here, and what's the biggest advantage? So, genuinely speaking, can you give us the comparison human versus AI? Your
Yeah,
AI,
I
your
mean,
personal software AI.
yeah, like with a person, the hard part with a person, depending on how the person is operating, is if that person is doing everything within the advertising dashboard in Seller Central, um, they have to do so many things manually. Like for example, let's say I want to pull like actual customer search terms, not the keywords, but the search terms that actually resulted in sales over the last, let's say, 7 days or 30 days. And if I wanted to pull those keywords out and extract those keywords and then separate them into separate campaigns to make it more targeted, more profitable, that'd be very manual, especially if you have a lot of campaigns for a lot of SKUs. That would be a very, very tedious process to have somebody do. Same thing with negative targets. If you wanted to negative exact certain keywords or certain ASINs, if you have a lot of campaigns, that can be quite a process to do manually. If a person is leveraging some type of software to assist them to do that, that might make it a little bit easier to do. But our AI software does all that for the Amazon sellers, so they don't have to do any of those things. They don't have to think about anything. The system, all they have to do is literally just pick their SKU, set a few parameters, like what's your minimum maximum bid that you want to set, like guardrails, and then what's your target ACOS or target ROAS that you want to achieve for that ASIN or for that SKU, and then you just basically like click advertise, and then it will create all the necessary campaigns for that particular SKU. So it's very targeted, and it adds a lot of depth, and for an individual to run that could be challenging to do for more than one SKU.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Have you ever thought about, or maybe you guys already implemented the opportunity where I can ask the software or put out there, like, I want to have tacos of 10% or 15%. And then software will adjust everything, like all the campaigns for the tacos, because sometimes a cost can be 220%, but your tacos will be 10.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't take into account tacos because it's monitoring your ranking. So it's adjusting the bids. It's already kind of factored into the equation by looking at your rankings. And so I don't like doing that as a rule in our case, because that's from what I've seen with many clients. If you're running any kind of traffic from outside of Amazon and you're already getting a halo effect, the tacos can be misleading, because you could be getting a halo effect from your meta ads, your TikTok viral influencer campaigns, whatever it may be. And so the PPC is getting credit for what it's not really doing. So that's why I want to be very careful about not having the system focus too much on tacos, rather than focusing on ACOS as well as rankings.
Yeah, that's
Actual
true.
rankings.
That's fair. That's fair. So, generally speaking, what are the biggest downsides of using AI without human? Your AI without human?
Yeah, I would say for now the biggest downside would be with a human, you can have a conversation with it, and you can get asked certain questions and
And
get
chat?
more depth, and if you wanted to pivot quickly and make certain changes, I suppose. Although even with our software, with the support that they get with it, they can ask questions and our team can help them, and so it's not that big of a deal, I would say. But yeah, I would say with an individual, of course, you're going to be able to have a different kind of conversation. But that being said, to what you mentioned earlier, we are planning on having a place in the dashboard where you can communicate with the AI, just kind of like ChatGPT, like OpenAI. You can communicate, ask questions, and also have it execute actions. If you're like, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z with these campaigns or for these products, and
So,
have it
are you
execute those
planning to
actions.
keep developing and growing this software, or you're planning to build any features on top, such as like product research, or I don't know, implement it with your agency, whatever you guys are doing there? So, like, to expand it, or it will be just focused on PPC?
It's going to be mainly focused on Amazon advertising. Right now it's sponsored products, but it will expand to focus on display and sponsor brands and potentially other things. But for now, I just really want to laser in. And so I already have a laundry list of all these new ideas and features I want to release to make it even better, make the user experience better, and have some new features that would help people maybe rank better or become more competitive. But I didn't want to, have too many options and features in the beginning. So that's why in the beginning, there's literally just like one thing in the beginning, which is this quick launch theme. And the quick launch theme allows you to get started very quickly. You click a button, you select your SKU, like I mentioned, you select a few parameters and you go, and that's it. The system will start creating the campaigns. There is a feature I added recently where you can actually import or sync all your existing campaigns. So if somebody's coming into the platform,
question. Okay.
Yeah, if they already have a ton of campaigns and they're like, what, I want to bring these into this, and I also want to have the system manage these. I want to set rules for these as well, and have the system manage those as well. You can do that now, so that is in there too. But I didn't want to launch a lot of things too quickly because I didn't want to make it confusing, and I also didn't want to assume that I knew what the customer wanted. I kind of want to have the customers tell me what they want, and then strategically launch the features that they want the most. Because the most important thing is I don't want the system to break, because a lot of softwares I've used, they get glitchy, they stop working, and that can be really frustrating when you're seeing results, you're seeing success with your PPC, and then all of a sudden it's like the rules are all over the place. Your bids go from $2 to $30 a bid for some reason, and you don't know why. And yeah, so we wanted to keep it really, really simple and focused in the beginning.
Two questions here. So question number one, may I run PPC for certain ASINs and not touch others, or it's required? So for example, if I will be, or somebody will be using 3 different software, like for example, they're working with Techometrics or DataDive or whatever, and they already have this campaign set. And if they're not confident to move forward with a new software, but they still are so tempting and they wanted to check it out, can they just run several campaigns through your AI and then leave others as it is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they don't have to touch their existing campaigns, and they can select. Our system is at the SKU level. So when you go in, you select the exact SKU you want to advertise, and that's it. And then the system will create the campaigns around that specific SKU.
Awesome. So another question is, do you have any recommendations based on the when I want to scale? For example, my product is already at a certain level, or when I want to launch, is there any recommendations from the AI what I'm supposed to do? And where like I'm not just targeting rows, I'm targeting ranking, or my target is to get as many sales as possible based on the product's targeting or whatever. So do we have any opportunities or like any features? I don't know how it's to go, like where I can pick and choose the options.
Yeah, not yet, because I designed the system initially to make it so that the system's doing most of the heavy lifting. So you don't have to necessarily be notified to do anything. It's designed for it to do everything for you, and for you to come in and just really look at it as often as you'd like, to look at the dashboard, look at the analytics as often as you need to, but really designed to work in the background without having to. So that way the seller can focus on all the other things that they enjoy, and maybe not get so bogged down by focusing on PPC. But that is something we will, probably offer in the near future, is having it provide some suggestions. But they do have the ability to go in there very easily. And if they say, you know what, I do want to go after these certain keywords a little bit more aggressively, they can boost those keywords, and the system will target them, short term more aggressively to help boost rankings maybe a little bit faster.
Yeah, it does make sense. When I'm uploading the listing, are you guys scraping keywords to target that I'm already working with, that already inside of the listing on the back and front end, or you're picking the keywords that AI thinks are the best for my product?
It comes from a multiple, it's multifaceted, so it's not coming from one data source, but we're taking in basically multiple data sources to refine and go after what the system believes are going to be the most relevant keywords, because the relevancy is most key.
Okay, yeah, that does also make sense. So do I have to approve all these keywords as a seller, or you guys just like put it as a default?
It will just go, and they can monitor and see the keywords, and they can, if they want to turn some off, they can turn some off if they don't like it. But again, it's designed for the system. The system will figure out very quickly which keywords are not relevant or not converting, and it will take care of that. By design, it will take care of that for you. So you don't really have to. And the other thing too is we don't want the sellers to make too many assumptions, because that can be a risk too. Is if they make a lot of assumptions, like no, I don't want to go after that keyword. Well, we don't really know for sure if that keyword will be good for you or not. We don't know if that's going to be that could actually be a missed opportunity. So let our system go after it. The first week may not be the best ACoS or the best ROAS, but over time, as it learns and adapts and adjusts, it's going to get more profitable, and it'll be able to scale better, assuming the product converts well and that sort of thing. So it's not a replacement for making sure that you have a good product, you've done your homework, you got a good listing. Because if you don't have good reviews or enough reviews or good title and bullets and description
and the product is also shit.
Yeah, exactly. If that's not there, the system's not going to perform well. Just as if no different than if a person ran your PPC. It doesn't do magic like that, but it will. If you have a good product and you've done your homework, then it will do comparable or better results than having somebody run it manually.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, with all this being said, we guys are data driven and money oriented. So every single business is about making money, is about having income, is about, and it's not about just side hustle or a hustle. So that's why all these entrepreneurs, such as myself and Kusha and all other people, we're creating several income streams. By being Amazon seller, it doesn't mean that's it. It doesn't mean you're capping yourself. If you understand already how Amazon working, try to help others by creating softwares, by creating agencies. And it doesn't mean you can do both. You can. It's just based on the how you can delegate the jobs to people and free yourself up to work on the next thing. And by the way, what is your next thing?
Yeah, I would say right now, my main thing I'm focusing on, I would say, is probably the software. But, I kind of just go where, I gravitate towards whatever, my, I would say my skills and my interests align with. So again, it's always kind of been in the health and wellness space when it comes to products. But, I really enjoy the game of Amazon. And I think for the near future, I'll be focused on our agency, helping other Amazon sellers, my own Amazon products and building that up, as well as the software. I would say those would be the top 3 focuses in the next, 3 to 5 years.
That sounds awesome. And the last question I usually ask my the people that I'm interviewing, if it will be just one thing to the end of your life that you can do on a daily basis, what this thing would be?
In terms of like work, what would I do?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anything.
I mean, I would say for me, number one, most important, part of my life is working out. I mean, that's like going to the gym, getting out. It's like such a therapeutic thing for me. That's like almost like meditation for me, to go and lift some weights, work out, do some cardio, use the sauna. I got a sauna behind me here. I do the sauna every single day.
I was wondering, I'm like, is it like something like you have a bed? But I'm like, no, 7-figure seller cannot have such a small bed. Like, what is
No, this is just my office here at home, and I have a sauna here. I use the one at the gym as well. This is an infrared, so it doesn't get quite as hot as like a regular rock sauna at the gym. The one at the gym I like because I sweat a lot more, but I do like this because it has other types of health benefits associated with it. So I do this. I have an ice bath, cold tub, cold plunge I use as well.
Are you selling cold plunges or not?
No. Actually, it's funny. I had the idea before all these sellers were, Arctic Tub and all these different brands like Plunge were selling this. I had the idea of creating something like that many years ago. It's probably like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more. And it was supposed to be with a friend of mine, but he unfortunately passed away in an accident. And so I just never really moved forward with that idea. But I just thought, wow, we were just literally texting about, doing that product. And then, maybe a year later, then all these things came out doing exactly that. But I definitely love it. I love all this. I like to not necessarily, biohack per se, but I like to use a lot of these different types of methods just to improve my focus, stress, and just overall cognition and performance.
Yeah, this is something people supposed to learn from you, where we have to balance our workaholicans with our health. So it's things to consider for everybody. Thank you for being on the podcast. That was valuable. You're super chill and super humble. And for those of you that want to explore more what kind of AI and how this Shazam Kazam is working, please guys follow up the link below, whatever you're listening to the podcast or you are watching us on YouTube. And Kusha, again, thank you for being with us today. And I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.